Alright, so in this video I want to talk about how to actually write a good cold email that also books meetings, because that is the most important part of it all, and that's mainly the reason why people actually send cold emails to, of course, book meetings. So in this video I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to show you as well how to write a real good cold email that books meetings. So to kick it off, an average campaign gets around 1 to 2% reply rate, where 15 to 20% of them are positive. A good campaign, it's between 3 to 5% reply rate, where 25 to 30% are actually positive. And a great campaign gets between 6 to 8% reply rate and then 35 to 40% positive. And if you're at this stage, like at that point, you should simply just scale it, because then you're getting good stats by here. But there are mainly 5 different key elements that change everything. They change the average campaign to be good, and the good one going from good to great. So I will talk to you how this actually works and why some get worse results than other. And there are mainly like 4 T's. I got from Josh Braun. It's the 4 T framework, and the first T being trigger. So why are you actually reaching out to this specific person right now, and why not in a year or so? So it's basically why now, why them. It's a specific observation, also known as like the opener, because that's how most people out there is treating this trigger. So for example, it could be like, hey John, I saw you just released this new green hoodie. It could be, hey John, just saw your recent LinkedIn post about XYZ. Hey John, just saw your site lost 38% in traffic, for example. And this is also the correct order. So we want to start off with the trigger, the opening line, and then you want to have like a poke the bear question. And this is basically a question that makes the prospect think more about the problem, and we also kind of want to remind them about their potential problem they might have that we then present a solution to. So we have to think the poke the bear question right here, because also you really want to have, or most of the time we do poke the bear questions in our emails, but sometimes we don't actually. And most of the time we do have it, and that's just because your solution does not have a meaning unless they actually have a problem. So you kind of want to like mention the potential problem that they have, and then continue on with the solution. Compared to if we just say the solution, just send the email right to the person. It's sort of like, hey John, we have this solution. It's like, okay. Like if there's no problem, there's no solution, sort of. So we want to remind them about the problem they might feel. Then we want to like third party. So like case studies, social proof, just prove it actually works to the person, because nobody really want to buy something that does not work. And if you see somebody else if you see like 10 other companies using this specific strategy, for example, then it's like, okay, that might also work for us as well. And then of course you want to have call to action. If you skip call to action, then you're I don't even know what you have then. You barely have an email then. You want to have soft call to action. An example of how this whole email could look like, it could look something along these lines. So Emma, notice your site traffic dropped 38% from May to June according to SimilarWeb. And this is then the trigger, so like the opening. You're reaching out because their site traffic dropped with 38% from May to June. How are you planning to recover those lost visitors before it hits revenue? This is then the poke the bear, the think. We helped pest control company increase revenue by 260k in year 1 by fixing similar traffic drops using our AI SEO approach. Worth a 7-minute video audit of your site, no bugs attached. So this is the case study, the social proof part, the third party, and then talk is the soft CTA right here. And the reason for this being a pretty solid email is because we have this opener right here. It's specific, it's tailored to this specific person and their company. Poke the bear reminds them of their problem, case study, and also our offer. We sort of frame our offer in a case study right here. So like we help this company, a pest control company, and this is just an example. Obviously, you would put the real company name here if you could do so. That's more powerful. They increased the revenue by 260k in year 1 by unique mechanism. Obviously, you might want to go even deeper into this. This is pretty like generic right now with just like saying AI SEO. And then worth a 7-minute video audit of your site is a pretty good solid CTA because it's extremely soft and it's also very easy to say yes to. And then pretty funny ending, like no bugs attached, and this is simply just a fun, charming way to end off the email. Just add some personality to it, and also since we are mentioning like a pest control company, since they like remove bugs and stuff, we say no bugs attached. Also pretty fun if you were to reach out to a pest control company, of course. So also social triggers that are dominating 2025, what we've seen. So triggers, a social trigger is of course a trigger for why you're actually reaching out, and the social triggers are extremely powerful. And so it could be, for example, LinkedIn posts and social activity now outperforming all other cold email triggers. So for example, we've seen that LinkedIn posts get higher reply rates compared to if you were to reach out to somebody who recently got a new role, for example, because it creates instant relevance and recognition. So it could, for example, look something along these lines. So Marcus saw your LinkedIn post about content that does not convert. How are you turning those 47k followers into actual clients? We have Acme go from 30k to 180k followers in 6 months. Worth seeing the 3-step process. Same thing here. Good personalized opener right here. Poke the bear question, remind them about their potential problem they might have. Case study, offer, the soft CTA. And here are just a few AI variables that 3x response rates, what we've seen. So first of all, we want to stop using AI to write entire emails if you're doing that, because it's lacking authenticity, and it can easily come out as fake and sort of robotic in a sense. And like, believe it or not, decision makers are human beings, of course. So you don't really want to use AI to write your entire email, but just add some like relevancy to your email. So you want to like write the first cold email in a very human way, but then just like add some variables that are AI generated without actually sounding AI generated. So you don't want to write like a full cold email in ChatGPT, for example. That's something you really want to avoid. Jeez. And you want to use AI for hyper-specific variables. So for example, saw your post about XYZ, for example. You can also use AI to analyze websites and job descriptions to identify precise responsibilities and pain points. So for example, a common use case we are doing at Leadmoose is that we are using AI inside of Clay, so most of the time ClayGent, where we are scraping the prospect's website, scraping their LinkedIn, scraping, for example, blog posts, seeing their most recent product an e-com store might have, recent hiring and stuff like that. Yeah, our clients say 1 lead per 4. I'll actually want to decrease this because this is pretty much actually 413. On our base campaign, I know we're getting like 1 lead per 35 emails or so, which is pretty good. Yeah, so the without differentiation method. So let's talk about the word without, because this is such an incredible word. It's only one word, but it means so much. It's a super underrated word, because sometimes prospects already might have a solution to the problem that you're talking about in your email. But sometimes you could actually get a client and get positive replies to your emails just because you're avoiding a common pain point. So how we want to frame this is, for example, here's a formula. Get benefit without pain point. So you could say, we could help you add an extra 10 meetings every month without lifting a finger, for example. They might already get 10 meetings a month, but they are doing it themselves, which is pretty time consuming. So if we just reach out to somebody, say like, hey, we can help you get 10 meetings, they might already have it, of course. But if we say without lifting a finger, then it's like, okay, they can actually do it for us, so we will save time. So even though they got benefit covered, they might still buy because of this without part right here. It's the same thing, like humans tend to avoid pains, of course. And it's much bigger than getting the end result or benefits. It's the same thing, for example, let's say screen protection is a good example. People buy screen protection to protect their screens in the future. It's not because they have a cracked screen right now, because then it's too late, obviously. They buy a screen protection to protect their screen in the future, so they don't get a fully like cracked screen, of course. So they buy it to avoid pain. So an example of how this could look is for a project management tool right here. So David, managing projects across 12 team members might be chaos. What if we could track everything in real time without the version control nightmares that come with the most PM tools? Acme lets you see exactly where projects stand without the which file is current confusion that kills productivity. Worth a 5-minute demo. And also mentions of competitive pain points increase reply rates from 2 to 3 to 4% while boosting positive reply rates from 15 to 25. Also, let's talk a bit about subject lines. So subject lines, first of all, I don't want you to put like much focus at all on it, honestly. The basics are to just stick to something very simple. You don't really want to have like anything salesy, anything long. You simply just want to have it a very, very short and concise to just spark some curiosity, and it should basically almost sound like it's a colleague sending the email. So for example, instead of saying like boost your revenue by 38%, you just want to have like open to this, John. Quick question, John. I know that quick question though has been used a ton, although it might still, or no, actually, it does perform better than these like increase your sales by 3,000% opening lines. So just have something like very, very simple and short. Same thing here. You could have like traffic down 38%. You can also mention their like recent product if you're reaching out to like e-commerce stores. So you could say about your latest t-shirt, or thoughts, John, or about your case study, something like that. I also really, really like, I'm a big fan of adding some charm to the emails, because like I said before, these decision makers, like CEOs, CMOs, head of sales, head of growth, whatever, they are still a human being. And I feel like many companies out there are super, super scared to actually make a funny, charming email that actually stands out. And I don't really know why that is. They feel like they want to protect their like brand, their tone, sort of. But that's also how like every other company thinks out there. They think that, oh, they have to sound very, very professional, and that's how everyone writes their emails. Like, to sound professional, they don't have a personality. To sound robotic, to sound salesy, and that's also exactly why they do not succeed with cold emails. So here are a few examples of self-deprecating lines that actually work. So for example, you could end the email with, either way, hope this email wasn't too painful to read. P.S. This entire email was written programmatically with AI at scale. So if something's wrong, let me know. Or I'll be patiently waiting, your best sales objection. You can also do something called the reverse formula. And sometimes when you email decision makers, they, at least some, in these like very saturated niches where they get tons of emails, you really want to do a pattern interrupting email. So the first thing they might think when seeing your email is like, oh, another boring cold email, probably the 10th one they get that day. So a really pattern interrupting email could be, hey John, I got your details from a list, gasp, but hey, at least you're list worthy, that's gotta be worth something, right? You immediately stand out when they read this in the first line. So it reduces sales pressure, you show vulnerability, and also makes you human. And also here are a few examples of CTAs that actually do get responses. So instead of saying like, ready to see how we could revolutionize and scale you to the moon, you simply just want to say, worth exploring, thoughts, worth a look, open to learning more. If we could X, would it be helpful? If we could book you 10 extra demos, would that be helpful? So why this works is it's a yes or no decision, no time commitment mentioned, puts prospect in control, because then they're more likely to respond to your email compared to if you were to reach out in a standard average salesy tone in your emails. Like for example, I know companies are still sending emails and ending with like super salesy call to actions. So for example, they might ask, when is a good time to have a 30-minute conversation? And the lead or prospect thinks, well, never. You really need to reach out with a valuable email and have a soft call to action, because otherwise you're losing immediately if you're ending your email with like, oh yeah, John, I'm a sales rep here, so how is 30 minutes for a short meeting. Like, you've lost already. Obviously, you want to do follow up as well, but you don't want to be annoying. And how I like to go about follow ups is you have your first email. We usually do four-step sequences at LeadMoose right now. And how it looks is we have value first email. With, that's email one basically. Then we usually wait 4 days with a different angle plus case study. And I know like the average sales rep usually follows up and says like, "Hey John, just following up. When would be a good time for us to have a 30-minute conversation?" And that's so 2020. Might have worked then, but now you really do need to reach out in a valuable and human tone. So if we're not getting responses by the first email, by email one, we want to change things up. Instead of asking for 30 minutes again and again and again, not only are you just like ruining your reputation, but you're also just like spamming at that point. Instead, you want to have a different angle to say like, okay, if we reach out offering like 20 meetings in 1 month and they didn't respond to that, you want to switch it up a bit, different angle. So you could say like, "Hey John, we helped this company save 40 hours a month by booking them 10 demos in the first month," or something like that. Then we usually wait 5 days, 6 days sometimes, although I'd actually want to say 3 days. And at this stage, we kind of want to change it up again, so new insight or data point. And same thing here, that's like a general rule of thumb. You want to reach out in a valuable way. So instead of saying, "Following up again, John, for the third time," we are reaching out with something valuable to share. Could be like industry news, something we read about them that they might not have heard about, new case studies, whatever. And then we want to have like a final touch, like a charming breakup email. I'm a big fan of those as well. So sometimes we do have subjects for our last email, sometimes not. And if we do, we have a subject line, something along the lines of giving up. It's a super attention bragging, getting subject line. And it can basically look something like this: "Marcus, I've officially reached the acceptance stage of grief, sniff. Clearly, my previous attempt to get your attention has fallen flatter than my last diet attempt. But before I retreat to my cave of rejection, one last shot. Still curious about the 3-step system for turning followers into clients? Either way, keep crushing it with your content. P.S. This is my breakup email, so there's no unsubscribe link. I'm doing that part for you. Dramatic sigh." It's so much personality inside of this email. Like it's pretty funny, and it's super pattern interrupting breakup email. It's a really fun goodbye email. So instead of saying like, "John, this is last time I'm reaching out to you. This is your last chance to actually reply to me and to get 30 minutes of my time." Like this is so much better because it's pattern interrupting. It's easy to smile when you read this email, and if you manage to get or put a smile on your prospect's face, you have a much higher likelihood of getting them to actually reply to your emails. And we use all of the stuff that I just went through for all our clients at LeadMoose. We helped Barter, they're doing UGC, and we're contacting e-commerce. We're getting like 1 lead per 36 emails, and what we're doing for them is we're writing pretty simple and personalized emails with a kind of like direct approach, I'd say. We also helped Propel Digital, they're doing PPC, and we targeted active Google Ads companies. So for example, companies who were to run like active Google Ads, for example. Then we got about 1 lead per 157 emails sent, and what worked for them is that we scraped companies who were running active Google Ads and then mentioned it in the email. So we said like, "Hey John, saw a Google ad about X. We do blah 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 blah." We also helped SEO Doctor, a Swedish company. We targeted companies with declining traffic, and here we're getting about 1 lead per 70 emails sent. And what's working for them is we are mentioning their traffic and leading with insights. So we can say like, we scrape each company's page speed, and then we're saying something along the lines like, "Hey John, saw your speed was 77% or even lower. We can help blah blah blah." Or we could say like, "Hey John, was searching through their industry in like ChatGPT, for example, but I saw competitor. We can help blah blah blah." something like that. So, a short checklist to actually write good emails. Make sure you have a specific trigger. Is my trigger specific to them? Do you have a differentiator? Is there a without? You don't need to always have this without. I don't really do it all the time either, but just try it out. It's super good. Human voice, does it sound human? Logical bridge, does it logical bridge to my solution? Proof, do I have proof? Credibility, do I have a soft, low friction CTA? Is it easy to say yes to? Personal test, would I personally respond to this? And the secret isn't just about getting replies, like it's mostly about getting the right replies. Even though you might get a pretty low reply rate and you're getting a super high positive reply rate, like you should still scale that campaign, in my opinion. And if you have about 1% reply rate and like 25% positive reply rate at least, you're already crushing it and you're already ahead of most of the prospects or people out there, I'd say. So, if you're a B2B company doing 1 million plus in revenue and want us to build these exact campaigns for you, we're the team behind these results. We handle basically everything for our clients. We do the data scraping, AI prompting, infrastructure, copying, so you can focus on the deals. We can do it for you just as we're doing for these clients. We have lots of case studies on our site, leadmoves.com. It's been working pretty good for ourselves and for our clients. And we have lots of case studies, gotten pretty good results. You can apply to work with us if you would like to see 100 plus qualified leads per month, what that would do for your business. The link is in the description. We'll audit your current approach and show you exactly how we would have 3x your pipeline. Take care.